Yeah. As I was about to say, I wanted to share this particular magazine. I don't always read Vanity Fair, but when I found out that they were devoting an issue to the Breonna Taylor murder, and that this was being edited by Ta-Nehisi Coates, I felt that I had to get it. So we went to Barnes and Noble and ordered it. And within a reasonable amount of time, they sent it. And I've just finished reading it. I read it last night. I'll read it again. And it's a very interesting,
Thank you.
Very interesting issue.
You can also contact Vanity Fair themselves, and they will mail you a back issue.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
What today are you reading? You're reading from The Snake Doctor, right?
Yes.
Okay, what are you reading? Let me hold the Snake Doctor up again, please.
Yes.
Yes, there's a Snake Doctor. By Odie Hawkins. Thank you very much. And so what chapter are you reading?
I'm reading chapter 30.
31. All right.
31.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited.
It's getting a little bit juicy in here. So that's what's going on. Shall I begin?
Yes, please.
I love the way you say that. Say it again.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. You combine the yes with the please.
I've always have. I don't, I always have.
It might have been the Ghanaian in you.
I guess.
I mean, I've heard maids say, no, please. I never did figure that one out. Chapter 31, The Zebra Club, 10:30 p.m. Kofi, I thought we had an agreement. You said that I was going to be your girlfriend while you were in Ghana here. And you are. But I stopped you at your place yesterday night to leave you a message, and they told me that you weren't in. I wasn't in. I was in Jamestown. I stopped by a little later, and you still weren't there. I wanted to take you to Susan for sundowners. I spent the night in Jamestown. Oh! You are annoying me with this. You don't know anybody in Jamestown? I stepped out on some rocks on the beach with Ananse because, as you know, there are no taxis going in and out of Jamestown after a certain hour. Want to dance? You had to admit it, but he was enjoying this little spat. It gave him a different look at the usually cool, laid-back Miss Sarpong. Yes, I want to dance, but I also want to tell me the truth. It's very important, to tell the truth. What if I told you that I spent the night out sleeping on some rocks in Jamestown? Would you believe me?
Yes.
If it was the truth, I would have no choice but to believe you. They were in the center of the dance floor. Oh! You men are all alike. You say anything to achieve your goal. He pulled her into his arms as they danced, making her feel his desire for her. So what do you think my goal is? She made a neat pirouette out of his arms and made her own move at a safe distance. I have my own ideas about what your goal is, but I would like to remind you, Mr. Brown, that I am not a small girl. I know you're not a small girl, Salena. They're on the dance floor dancing and talking to each other, right? I know you're not a small girl, Salena. I can see that with my own eyes. She spun herself back into his arms. Kofi, you don't think I'm getting stout, do you? She has all kind of issues.
Right, yeah.
He was tempted to laugh and joke about her insecure question, but decided not to. I'm in enough hot water already. No need to add any more fuel. No, Salena, sweetheart, you are definitely not becoming stout. As a matter of fact, your shape has become more beautiful in the short time I've known you. The music went into low for a few minutes while the DJ made an effort to be funny. So there I was, standing on the corner of Abricine and Irene. And there is this beautiful girl standing next to me, waiting for a break in the traffic. So I said to her, hey, pardon me, madame, but it seems that your future is behind you. Are you getting me? Are you getting me? Your future's behind me. Now then, going right along, our next cut features the voice of the late great Marvin Gaye. What's going on? Kofi and Salena slid into each other's arms. She whispered to him, remember this? This is the first time we danced close at Susan's place. I never will forget it.
Well said.
The would-be hassle had been leveled low by Marvin Gaye. There was nothing to do but enjoy each other's company for the rest of the evening, with a few obstacles to be cleared. Kofi, I don't care what you say. I still find it extremely difficult to believe you slept out of doors on some rock near somebody named Ananse. Would you believe it if I introduced you to Ananse, Kutu's son, if he verified what I'm saying? He was calling her bluff, and she met the challenge. If you can produce this Ananse person, and he tells me what you're saying is true, well, I would have to apologize to you. Good. I'd like to hear your apology. I have a dinner appointment with Ananse tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. at the country kitchen. You're invited. Will you come? She felt trapped. Of course I will come. I will look forward to it. They shared the dance floor a couple more times and decided to call it a night. The taxi ride to Selena's place in La Bonne was filled with warm, surreptitious touching, undercurrent feelings. Tonight, Nathan. Salena told the taxi driver, intrigued, wait a minute, this man will be going away. Salena opened the door, beckoned him inside for a long, passionate kiss, and then abruptly terminated the developing heat by announcing, I would invite you to sleep here, but you prefer the rocks in Jamestown.
You'll be sorry.
Dinner with Salena and Ananse. Kofi sat at his favorite table, number 15, in the east corner of the country kitchen restaurant, people gazing. Such an interesting mix. The quartet of Germans caught his eyes. They were obviously attempting to follow the local custom of eating with the right hand only. However, he could see it wasn't working out very well for them. They were dribbling stuff everywhere.
Babies.
The sugar daddy and the baby sweets. He was torn between trying to pretend that she was a relative and a sexy young thing he had seduced. They were spending lots of time staring in opposite directions. The two African-American couples, who had previously obviously been on the scene before, were acting like ugly Americans. Waiter! I dropped my spoon. Bring me another one immediately. Waiter, I asked for potatoes, not rice. Can't you get anything right? They were probably frustrated because they weren't back in Philadelphia or Boston or wherever they came from. Kofi felt like going over to their table to whisper in their ears, this is Ghana, guys. You gotta go with a different vibe here. Long time, eh? Ah, yes, Emerald. 38, 35, 38. A diamond in the rough. Oh, you remember me. Yes, you want to quote ABC before you order dinner? You're right on the money. I'm expecting a couple other people. I'll order when they come. Very good, sir. Kofi made a surreptitious study of Emerald's back as she swiveled away from his table. What is it my friend Herb used to say to women about women built like Emerald? They are ample testimonies to our background. The place was bubbling with good food, smells, exotic perfumes, and unusual people. I'm like, oh wow, that guy must be 7 feet tall. He's got to be a basketball player. And that gorgeous trio of Ghanaian women over there. Black is beautiful, no doubt about it. Good evening, Mr. Kofi Brown. He popped up from his seat to play the old school gent with Salena. Good evening and welcome to table 15. She gave him a nice little hug and pecked him on both cheeks. Thank you, kind sir. Emerald was at the table before Salena settled into place. You would like to order now? Not yet. We're expecting one more. How about a beer for you, Salena? Yes, please. Make a Guinness. He stared at her as she propped her elbows on the table and took a hard look around. God, what a gorgeous creature she is. Dark chocolate with reddish undertones. The most kissable lips on the planet.
You should know.
A shape that's only an inch or two from being a diamond in the rough. Another emerald. Salena, do you have your cell phone on? No. You think somebody could be calling me? Of course not. What was I asking you? You were asking me what my measurements were. What are you talking about? Your shape, you know, the dimensions of your body. I don't know, but I can tell you that they don't come close to our waitress. That girl has a hell of a turd cut on her, don't you think?
Thank you.
He laughed so hard he attracted amused attention to their table. Salena was chock full of surprises. Well, I don't think I would have put it in those words. You know, you say some very surprising things at times. So a spade called by any other name is still a spade. He studied her profile as she waved to an acquaintance. Salena, yes? You ever think about letting your hair grow naturally, you know, just let it be? Her reply was interrupted by the waitress placing her Guinness stout in front of her. Salena poured herself 4 fingers and took a healthy sip. Kofi, look about you. Do you see any Ghanaian women with natural hair? Kofi's eyes roamed from table to table. Ah! What about those two? Salena gave a disdainful glance at the 2 teenagers having dinner with their parents. They are small girls, not proper women. Ghanaian women who can afford it always want to have their hair straightened, permed, relaxed, whatever. But when you say that perming your hair is a symbol of self-hatred, Salena looked startled. Oh, you think I hate myself? I'm not saying that. But don't you think that some African women show self-hatred by trying to look like white women? No, sir, I don't agree with that at all. I think there are more white women who want to appear African than the other way around. They admire our skin, our lips, our bodies, our rhythm, your hair, your natural hair. She cut a malicious smile in his direction. No good, Mr. Brown. I'm not going to let you lure me into a nebulous conversation about cultural values and all of that sort of stuff. You're trying to put up a smoke screen for the time you spent with another woman yesterday night. Salena, not true. I told you, I spent the night in Jamestown. Yes, snoozing on some rocks on the beach with this Ananse fellow. Yes, that's right. Well, it's 6:45. Where is he? Emerald, the waitress, saved the day. She made a discreet approach to Kofi's left side. Pardon me, sir, but there's a man here at the entrance. He says that he has an appointment with you. Salena, hold your point. Be right back. A couple of Ghanaian weightlifters, muscle boys, were positioned on each side of Ananse. Security. He's okay. He's my guest. Please let him in. The muscle boys stepped away from their captive, sneering at the Jamestown boy. Kofi took Ananse by the arm and strolled back through the upper-class establishment as though they were old friends. Yeah, I can see what you see. Ananse's hair wasn't dreadlocked. It was simply uncombed and showed evidence he'd been sleeping at a place where there was hay. Or maybe mattress ticking coming out. The unpressed pants, the weirdly phosphorescent shirt, and the canary yellow shoes were grave indication that he didn't know how to dress or had very few clothes. The canary yellow shoes seemed familiar. Last time I saw those, they were on Mr. Charlie James Cortez's feet. Maybe they made a trade.
Mm-hmm.
And the fragrant aroma of recently smoked marijuana left in their wake was ample testimony that Ananse was fully loaded. I mean, fully loaded.
I'm sure.
Kofi tried to make the introduction as civil as possible. Mr. Ananse, Miss Sarpong, Miss Sarpong, Mr. Ananse. But it was wasted. Salena didn't like Ananse on sight, and the vibe was swiftly returned. They didn't shake hands. Kofi, the designated mediator, plowed right ahead. Now then, what are we having for dinner? I'm starving. He signaled to Emerald. Now's the time. Ananse, we are already a beer ahead of you. What would you like? I will take the same as Madame. Uh-oh. We're getting into caste and class here. I can feel it. Too bad they don't have your upstation pito here, isn't it? She cracked at Ananse. Yes, Madame, it is too bad. Kofi recognized the insult connected to her reference to cheap homebrewed brews, brands of what they would call moonshine in the southern states of the U.S. The waitress stood downwind of Ananse, joining the silent anti-Ananse people at nearby tables. Kofi took careful notice of their turned-up noses, their vibes. Wow, they don't like this brother being up in here. The waitress gave Salena and Kofi their menus, dropped Ananse's menu in front of him. He picked it up upside down. The brother can't read. Ananse can't read. The revelation was a surprise. What are you having, Salena? The banku and okra stew are usually quite good. I'll have that and another Guinness. Ananse, I will chop whatever you chop. Salena and the waitress exchanged knowing glances. This bumpkin can't read. Well then, we'll have the fufu with plantain and groundnut stew and keep the cold brews coming. Yes, sir. The table was completely silent for a moment. Salena opened up with an acidic question. What is your last name, Mr. Ananse? Kutu. My last name is Kutu. Rather unusual name, isn't it? Yes, madame, it is an unusual name because I'm an unusual person. I would be the last one to doubt that. Kofi cut through the developing hostilities. Ananse, I was telling Salena about my night in Jamestown the other night. Oh, I'm sorry about that, Kofi. I have made arrangements for you to have transport when you come again. Why would anyone want to go to that place? Salena and Ananse glared at each other. Kofi could see that dinner was not going to be a huge success, but Ananse had validated his claim. Well, Salena, do I get an apology? Yes, you get an apology. If I had a medal, I would give you one for surviving a night in that place. Ananse's eyes seemed to blaze up at Salena. Yes, madame. Jamestown is a hell, but it was man-made, not natural. If the so-called upper classes in this country cared more about those who are poor, we wouldn't have a Jamestown. That's so typical. One always is wanting to find a reason for being unsuccessful and lazy. Kofi broke it up again. Aha! Our food is here. I don't know about you guys, but I'm hungry. There. Maybe that will cool them out for a bit. The people at the table on the left paid their check, ground their chairs loudly, and grumbled something about the riffraff coming into the country kitchen restaurant. Ananse didn't have exquisite table manners. He gulped his beer and burped loudly, and he dug into his fufu and ground up stew as though he hadn't eaten in a while. Very good, very good. You can have more if you like. Thank you, Kofi. I would like another bowl of this. Oh, Emma, my friend, would like another fufu and groundnut stew and beers all around. Maybe that'll do it. Keep them lubricated. It'll be all over in a little while. Salena sipped her beer and glanced at Ananse's head in the bowl, pig in the trough. Eating technique, eating style we discussed. Kofi, are we going out tonight? Ananse looked up, groundnut stew splattered on his thick black mustache and beard. Oh, are we going now? Yes. I said we, not you. Salena snapped at him. Kofi felt trapped. This guy probably saved my ass from being robbed and possibly worse the other night. He gave me all the hospitality he was capable of, even if it meant sharing the best place on the beach to sleep. And he gave me fresh coconut water that morning. I can't treat him like an outcast. And Ananse, you can go with us if you like. He can go with you if you like. I'm going home. Salena pushed her chair back, stood up and glared at Ananse. It is not nice to have met you, Mr. Ananse Kutu. Ananse made a half bow while seated. Yes, madame, I am in complete agreement. Kofi, will you walk me to the roadside for my taxi? Yes, of course. Back in a minute, Ananse. You felt as though you were walking through an obstacle course. You're leading your lady out and remaining with that dreadful chap. How could you? Mm-hmm. The eyes and expressions on both sides of the aisle was accusing him of doing the wrong thing. They stood at the side of the road waiting for the inevitable taxi. Kofi was steamed. Salena, let me tell you something. I do not like the way you behave toward the brother-in-law. She looked startled. That's right, I don't like it. And to tell you the truth, I'm highly pissed at you. I don't give a shit about what kind of caste and class problem you might have with that brother. That doesn't concern me. What concerns me is that he came here at my invitation, and I think of wrong of you to insult him the way you did. But Kofi, you don't know these people the way I do. Maybe I don't, but I do know that guests should not be insulted. The taxi skidding to a stop 10 yards beyond and backing up canceled out a possible argument. Kofi, will I see you tomorrow evening? I would like to. I don't know. I'll call you. Now I'll send you a message or something.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
She quickly pecked him on the cheek and hopped into the waiting taxi. Kofi waved goodbye and did an about face. Now, time for me to rag Mr. Ananse a little bit. Dear Dad, Mom, Ghana is definitely opening doors for me for my consciousness. I haven't seen a snake since I've been here.
He ate them all.
But I've been so busy, I don't think I second the motion. I haven't seen snakes since then, but I've been so busy I don't think I would have noticed if I'd seen one in any case. Let me pull the blinds back a bit. Had a dinner at the country kitchen yesterday night with my girlfriend Salena and Kutu's son Ananse. I had to do it to keep jealousy at low tide. Salena thought that I had betrayed our monogamous agreement, and I had not. Ananse was my witness. The two of them didn't like each other from the get-go. I felt it was a caste/class thing. Ananse is from way down there, she's from way up there. In any case, at the end of the day, as they say here, our dinner didn't go well, but Ananse validated my claim that I spent the night in Jamestown with him. Didn't matter a hell of a lot. They still snarled and spat at each other. The final round happened when Salena asked me if we were going out, and I suggested maybe Ananse would like to trip with us. I felt I had to do that because I didn't feel it would be right to simply have dinner and then dump the brother. Mm-hmm. Salena rejected the suggestion and decided to end the evening. I was feeling a bit pissed off myself at this point, so when I walked out to catch a taxi, I downloaded on her a bit. Then I went back into the restaurant and yang Ananse a little bit. I had to let him know, number one, that we couldn't be friends. We couldn't hang out together if he was going to be high all the time. The brother smokes weed, that's what they call it here, all the time. I'm truly amazed he can be as logical as he is. He told me that I could go fuck myself. That's what the man said. His thing to me was, you can't suddenly come into my life and start telling me what to do, how to behave. You don't know what my life is like, what I've suffered, what I'm suffering. I need something to ease my pain. I came back with him with what might be called a black liberal's response. It is what I was feeling. Look, fool, I told him, I can help you. You can help me. How? Well, I told him, I can help you get out of the ghetto. Can you hear me? I'll never know what made me say it, but that's what I put out to him. What do you want to be? What do you want to do in life? I asked him. He must have thought about my question for 5 minutes. I want to be a doctor, a healer. I've always wanted to be a doctor. Just like the little girl in Osu, Atu's stepdaughter in Osu. I want to be a doctor. So that's where we are. I asked for a project, and I got one. Now, I need your help. This guy's smart, full of energy, got lots of smarts, lots of heart. I told him he would have to catch certain benchmarks if he really needed if he wanted my help. Number one, he would have to give up the gangster lifestyle, burglary, dope, get a legitimate gig. I told him I would contribute to his income, get in school, learn how to deal with the outer world, etc., etc., etc. He agreed to all of my stipulations. In addition, he apologized for telling me to have intercourse with myself.
Okay.
I accepted his apology, of course. How could I not accept it?
Oh, I hear you. Okay.
So that's where it is. Now I'm turning to mom and dad for help. As you know, stuff is relatively cheap here, which means that $100 a month could handle his school fees, clothes, and housing. So far as I know, he's living in the streets right now. Please let me know what you think of my project as soon as possible. I'm going to try to get a month extension of my visa to put this firmly on track, which isn't always easy, so they tell me. Ananse is about a year or two older than I am, but I think about how different our lifestyles have been. But as they say, there but for the grace of God go I. You can write me, care of Greenleaf Hotel, P.O. 2896, Accra, Ghana. Love, your son, Kofi.
What a letter.
Kojo passed the letter to his wife. Here, read this. Akuzwa read the letter twice, slowly reading between the lines. Well, let's start with first things first. What do you make of this thing with Miss Salena? Kojo smiled. Looked like the boy's nose is open, if you ask me. Sounds like it, doesn't it? It'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I get the feeling that a visa extension request may have something to do with her. So what about this Ananse project? Kofi is one of those sons that everybody should be privileged to have. He makes me feel so proud of him. How many young brothers would be willing to help somebody else, anybody else, do something with themselves? Yeah, he is unique, and I'm not just saying that because he's my son. Our son, Daddy, our son. That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. So what do you think about helping Ananse? I'm sure I could get a grant from 100 men the 100 black men. Oh, no, this is our party. I would want to try to explain your relationship to this guy due to your connection with the Juju man. What was his name? Asiafo. Yeah, Asiafo. I wouldn't want to have a screening committee probing to that. But of course, it's not like I'm indebted to anybody or anything. Kojo, you told us sitting right here in this room how you made a deal with this Asiafo and that everything worked out all right because of the sacrifices you made to this snake and all that. Isn't that true? Yeah, but no buts. We can handle these things ourselves out of the slush fund. No need to go anywhere for anybody else for anything. If the burden gets to be a little bit too heavy for our wallets, we can always go to my mother and father. You know they've always been anxious to help Kofi do anything he wants to do. You got it all figured out, huh? She strolled over to drape her body onto his lap. You better believe it. That's why you married me, remember? Because I had a beautiful brain and a gorgeous body. Akuzo, you are outrageous, simply outrageous. I know.
I love you.
Kofi literally felt his heart skip a beat when he recognized Selena's elegant scrawl on the face of the envelope. The hotel clerk smiled at his reaction. Dear Kofi, this will be a long note. I hope you have the patience to read it. To begin with, I must offer you my most sincerest apology for my boorish behavior of the other evening. And I think we are quite within bounds to make me sit up. I can assure you that it won't happen again. Concerning Ananse, he said something the other night that has been resonating in my consciousness. Yes, madame, Jamestown is a hell, but it was man-made, not natural. If the so-called upper classes in this country cared about those who are poor, we wouldn't have a Jamestown. That's what he said. A few hours of honest reflection forced me to acknowledge the truth of his statement. I do want, above all else, to be honest with myself. I tried to give him a hard time because he seemed to fit the profile of the slum dweller. I regret that. And if I should ever see him again, I will tell him that. Aside from his hair and his outlandish costume, he seems to be quite an intelligent chap. Perhaps one could spiff him up a bit and something could be made of him. Now then, have purged myself of all my negative vibes, I wonder if you would please join me for a cocktail at Susan's place this evening. 7-ish. Faithfully yours, Salena. Kofi glanced at his watch. 3 p.m. What will I do with myself until 7? Oh, Lord, have mercy. Life is hard. I'm with the boy all the way high.
How beautiful.
The soft light in, the chartreuse form hugging her intricate gilly, and the dark chocolate skin moving toward him made him think of a dream. Salena, you look like a gorgeous tree. Oh, how nice of you to say something like that. It's true. Salena, Susan darted from the kitchen straight to their table. Well, well, so pleased to see you both. Back in a minute. They smiled at her hummingbird movements, first here, then there, then back over here, back over there again. Salena signaled to Zacharias, the waiter, "We'll have 2 of those splendid daiquiris, please." Just exactly what I had in mind. They were quietly listening to the always interesting music spilling into the room. What strange movie. Never heard anything quite like that. If I'm not mistaken, it's Ali Akbar Khan playing the Sorod It's Indian music. You know this music? I can't say that I know it, but I've been listening to it for years. What an interesting fellow you are.
Yes, he is.
They sipped their daiquiris, soaking up the good vibes in the room, the sensual music. Kofi, about the other night, your letter said it all. That chapter is finished. They clinked glasses to toast the moment. There was a point you made in your letter that I already jumped upon. What was that? The thing about spiffing Ananse up to make something of him. After you left, I went back into the restaurant and had a Soul Brothers talk with him. I made him a proposition he seemed to be interested in. Selena's eyes lit up after he took her into the details of his project, Ananse. Kofi, that's a wonderful thing for you to do. And may I say to you, sir, that you're sitting in exactly the right place to make it happen. The visa extension, Ananse, all of it. How's that? That lady over there, Susan, can make it all happen. She can? You better believe it. If we can hold her in one spot for 5 minutes.
That too.
It took them 5 minutes of eye and hand signals to get Susan to return to their table. They had agreed to have Salena spool out the details of Kofi's deal with Ananse because she was a fast talker and essential skill in dealing with Susan. Yes, dears, what can I do for you? I can see you sickening frantically from out of the corner of my eye. Kofi looked on with frank admiration at Selena's rapid announcement, explanation. Susan signaled to her head waiter at the conclusion of Selena's spiel. Zacharias, I'm going upstairs to my office for half an hour. I'll be unavailable. Yes, sir, madame. Yes, sir, madame. Come with me, kiddies. We need to get a little deeper into this without interruptions.
That sounds like Susan.
Oh, God. I hope so. I hope so. Come with me, kiddies. And we can get a little deeper into this. And they were suddenly hustling to keep up with her quick flow upstairs. Come in. This is what I call my inner sanctum, where I can kick my shoes off. Make yourself at home. They looked around at a quietly luxurious room. 3 comfortable leather chairs, a long leather sofa, a desk, African child masks on the walls. Susan grabbed a legal pad from her desk and sat across from them on the sofa. Now then, let's pin the general picture down. We can work out the details later. You want to sponsor this young man to his education. Kofi nodded numbly. Dealing with Susan was like dealing with someone who was moving twice as fast as other people. He can't read or write, no problem. He can be whipped into the alphabet quite sharply. I know a couple of people who are experts at that. Seems to have a few asocial habits. Well, being from Jamestown and all that, I suppose one should expect some negative to be in his baggage. Wants to be a doctor, you say? Yeah, that's what he told me, and I believe it. Smart, energetic, you say? Not lazy? Not at all. Very good, very good. She scribbled furiously on her pad for a few seconds. Now, here's what we can do immediately. I can bring him aboard. We always need people to do work on the grounds here. And it'll give me an opportunity to evaluate his behavior. If he doesn't measure up, I will sack him straight away. You understand? Kofi, when you meet with him, you must make him understand that. Are you getting me? Kofi felt tempted to say, yes, sir, madam.
Don't.
But simply nodded instead.
Bobblehead.
I'm not overwhelmed by his educational deficits. As Salena can testify, I brought village boys and girls into my Montessori school and people who were wearing their first pair of shoes and taught them how to teach in the Montessori method in 6 months. The important thing is that he should be self-motivated and willing to learn. Susan, I'll tell you what he told me. If you don't have the survival skills and smarts, you'll never survive in Jamestown. I can't believe it. That's a dreadful place.
Mm.
Now then, I believe you said you would be able to sponsor his school fees, etc. How much you think it'll cost? In Ghana here, probably less than $100 a month. If he manages to make it to the secondary level, it'll be a little more. And then, of course, the university. But we can scan for scholarships all along the way. Ghana needs doctors. I'll sponsor him. Good, that takes care of that. Bring him round as soon as you can, and we'll get cracking. Oh.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh. Susan, one more thing. Kofi wants to get a month's visa extension. He needs to put this business on track. Susan smiled shyly at not shyly, slyly
Okay.
at Selena's explanation. Kofi looked from one to the other. How could the saloon proprietor, Montessori head mistress, get his visa extended? Susan scribbled again. Kofi, old man, I'm giving you a note to give to Mr. Joshua O'Kine, head of immigration. It says, give this young man a visa extension or else you will not be allowed to visit Susan's place for the rest of the year. He'll understand and you will have your extension. Now then, if there's no other business, Susan, I really appreciate your help. I'm sure Ananse will. He'd better appreciate it if he has a brain cell working. But on a serious level, Kofi, this is one of the big reasons why I decided to make a grand success of Susan's place so that I could fund my school and other projects. You're calling this project Ananse. I like that. On the way back down to the main room, Kofi and Salena exchanged warm-eyed looks. And we'll end it there.
Oh, wow.
Yes, things are cracking.
Yes, they are. They are. That's so lovely. Another month in Accra.
Oh my God!
If it all works out, and it should. Yes.
I'm almost thirsty. I'm drinking all water I can drink.
Well, since we don't have a cult, since we don't have an ABC or a cult, yes, we have to do with water.
Alternative. Ain't that a shame?
I know, such a wonderful, delicious
if you people really meant well. Well, I can't say that because that's a challenge. But if there were any beer distributor out there who wanted to make big brownie points with people who like good beer.
Well, especially all the Africans in the diaspora. That's a delicious beer, and I'm not a beer drinker. Okay, it's a delicious.
And that's where I was getting to, and I'm glad you beat me to the point because you heard what the sister said.
Yes.
You heard what the sister said, and I'm not trying to put anything or anybody else's stuff down. But hey, when a non-beer when a non-beer drinker says,
"Colt in the morning,"
come on.
Definitely. Well, you have just read chapter 31 from The Snake Doctor.
The Snake Doctor, this book right here.
That book right there, which can be purchased on Author House, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or call your local bookstore, or go to your local bookstore and say, I want The Snake Doctor by Odie Hawkins.
Cool.
And then you can sit down and read the whole thing with yourself.
Okay,
one
and that's cool, and I endorse it entirely.
Okay. Oh, your website is www.odiehawkins.com. Vanity Fair, you can contact Vanity Fair.
I started with it, and I have no choice but to end with it because this is what is really important. Reading The Snake Doctor is a good thing to do, and it'll enchant you, I guarantee you. But Breonna Taylor is 400 years of us, and we need to get about that more in a more definitive way. One of the very best ways to get about the Breonna Taylor legacy is to vote El Stromposo out.
Yes.
El tromposo, for the benefit of my non-Spanish speaking friends, is the COVID-19 king.
Well, with
and we know who he is.
That serious ending, I will look forward to chapter 32.
I am too.
Okay, got to hear and see how Ananse deals with learning and washing hair and all that other good stuff. Deodorant.
Hey.
I say.